Good afternoon, all. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Hope everyone's well. Very nice sunny day and warm day in London. Very quiet outside, as one would assume, as everyone sticks with lockdown. Hope you're all safe and well. Hopefully, we'll be through this soon. Little video here on a follow up with putting both pace and break. Vipin Sharma, who did the break putting yesterday, has done this lovely, simple input sheet, which we're very happy to send out to anybody who requests it. Anybody who's watching should be either on Facebook or within Discord on in the Penalty Box members club. So feel free to send us a DM with your email address if you want this Excel file sent to you. That's just the first little thing. So big thanks to Whole Lion Vipin for doing this sheet. It's really, really good. It's really simple. It really breaks down all the complexities into, we needed to go through the complexity so everyone understands what it's about. But in the end, what everyone wants is just something to make the game a little bit quicker and be a bit more consistent with their putting. So this sort of helps out anybody who's not particularly familiar with Excel. I'm sure lots of people have their own versions of sheets. These aren't any clever numbers that we've come up with. Everything's been from historical stuff over the last 10 years of the game. We've made a few little changes here and there, but it works for us for the most part. So I'm going to run through this, and then, as I say, if you want a copy, then just let us know. So straight into the sheet. What to say about it to start with is basically it's an input sheet. So that means that you're just inputting a few numbers that are relevant to your putt, and the rest will do it for you. Unlike what Vipin went through yesterday, which was all of this and this plus that and divided by 9 and pi r squared and all of this kind of stuff, which obviously is important to get the number right, but is confusing and isn't part of what we want within the game. You don't hear caddies saying to players, well, it's 1, 2, 3 to here, plus this, plus that, minus this, got to carry the bunker, so we've got to be that. They just give them a number, right? We're aiming there, aim at the camera, and hit a 177 stock shot or whatever. So, and very much, it's different on the greens probably, but they do have their own greens guides that they're using too. So anyway, I'm waffling along. So back to the actual input sheet. And really what this covers is, it covers break and it covers power. So we're going to do the break first very quickly because it's very easy, and then we're going to get into the power a little bit more in detail. So this is based on what Vipin went through yesterday in the dot counting, and what the end result will give you. And just very quickly, what we're saying is anything in green is a result, which you can use, and anything in blue is where you need to input. So the result of the break here is a combination of these factors: green speed, distance, elevation, dot speed. Dot speed, we're saying, is half a box of count per second. Dots counting in seconds across half a box and then multiplying by 2. So in this case, half a box, if we're saying if this is a box here, half a box of dot counts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in this case it was 3 seconds, so they were very slow dots, and it's multiplied by 2 equals 6. So half a box of dot counting and then double it to put in there. So all of that is taken into consideration, and then the sheet magically produces, you need 13.3 inches of break, which is 111% of the box. So a box plus 10%. As we change these numbers, so the green speed is 12, so this changes. It's a quicker green, so it will break more, so the amount of inches added are more. This is obviously And we'll change the feet to 10, and then it reduces significantly down to 6.4 inches, up to 20, and it's 22.4. So this is obviously, because it only takes 3 seconds to cross the box, this is obviously a big braking putt. You know, aiming 2 boxes across from 20 feet is quite a lot of break. So anyway, slightly waffly again, but hopefully you can see these figures here that you enter equal the amount of inches you need to aim. So a box is a foot across, which is 12 inches. So in this case, it's 22.4. So it's just under 2 boxes. And it also gives you the percentage of box if you want to visualize it that way. So that's breaking putt. Very, very easy. If you get your dot count right, the sheet will do the rest for you. And you're going to be pretty accurate here if your pace is right. So then that's that covered. We're going to go into pace. Now the first thing to say is that I've covered most of the pace things already in a previous video, pace putting part 1. So I would definitely advise to go back to pace putting part 1 video and just re-look at the variables of pace putting. Although the break putting is a more complicated formula, it's a much simpler thing. It's a simple maths code to get you from A to B with the right amount of break to get you to the hole. So there aren't too many variables there. A bit of wind can come into play if it's 20 miles, 25 miles an hour off the left or the right. But it's fairly simplistic and spot on once you get through the maths of it. Not so much with the pace, because there's a lot more that can go wrong. Short, long, wind. There are a lot more variables to it, and it's a harder formula to get right because you're trying to have a formula that works for 13 greens, 35 feet downhill, time -5, which is a very gentle putt that you're coasting down, trying to get it into tap-in range and hopefully give it a chance of falling in, but also to let you be aggressive with a 10-foot uphill putt that is breaking quite hard, that you want to hit a bit harder. So there are variables. So what I'm going to say is I'm just going to write in here, this is how I see it. So 7 to 9 greens, I would be still using the formula as a base, but it's nowhere near as accurate, and what I'll be doing is significantly hitting it harder if it's flat or uphill under 10 feet. A little bit harder between 10 and 20 feet, and over 30 feet it's about right. And for downhill putts, I'd be definitely hitting it harder pretty much on any putt. Only by a foot or two here and there. Obviously the closer you are, the harder the more you'll need to hit it hard. I'll go through this in a minute within this to sort of re-go over that. And then we've got sort of 10 to 11 greens, which I think it works very well on. What I would say is, if you're putting under 10 feet, you want to be hitting it firmer than what the just trying to move this across, but I'm failing. You want to hit it firmer than the sheet is saying. If we want to be aggressive, again, we want to be a couple of feet past. Again, I'm going to go over this very quickly in here in a moment. And then 12 to 14 greens, I think it works much better throughout. Oh, look, it's the 12th of December. On 12 to 14 greens, I'd be saying it works very, very well, particularly on downhill deadweight putts. I'd still say that under 10 feet, flat and uphill, I'd want to be giving it a little bit extra. So let's just do a couple. So we've got 8 green, 8 feet, 2 inches uphill. So I'm doing this one first. Sheet says hit it at 11.3. So it's 8 green speed, 2 inches uphill. So we're hitting way more power than the distance that it is. And there I probably, and I've got a video of Pebble Beach on 8, I'd probably even hit it a little bit harder than that. I'd be looking at sort of 12, 12.5 to make sure I'm going in at nice firm pace. Just going to change that to -2. It takes us to 6.8. Again, I'd be hitting it a little bit more than that. So again, this is why I'm saying it's not quite as accurate for this. I'd probably be hitting this 8. And the reason why I can do that is because it's 8 green is it's not going to go very far past. So there's no risk involved in hitting it too hard. We want to hit it too hard, and then you get used to the break. So, but if you're putting like that, obviously this sheet combines pace and break. Then this sheet does account for the pace, of course, on the break. If you're hitting it hard, if you're hitting it this distance. But if you choose to hit it 8 instead of 6.8, then obviously this is going to reduce slightly because you're hitting it firmer, it's going to break less. So that's sort of 8. I'm just going to do a sort of 25-foot putt there. -2 again. 25.9 -2. Usually you'd be a bit scared of that, but it's an 8 green. And again, it doesn't work quite as well as the faster greens does. It says 26. I'd still be hitting that a little bit more, probably 27.5, somewhere along those lines. But again, all of that is in the pace putting part 1 video. 10 to 11 greens, again, very accurate from this kind of distance, I find. So I'd be pretty much, if I put in 10 green here, it's telling me 20.7 feet for a 25 -2. I'd be hitting it pretty much that. So it's pretty accurate down the hill on 10 and 11 greens. Where we need some assistance or variables is if we're hitting 9 feet to uphill, it's telling us 9.9. If you hit that putt 9.9 on a 10 green, 2 inches up, I think there's a chance it doesn't quite get to the hole. I think it probably does just crawl in the front door if you hit the ding. But we want to be firmer than that. So again, this is why I'm saying it gets better as it gets faster. This putt here, 10 feet, I'd be probably hitting 11, 11.5, something like that. If it was a -2 putt, then I'd trust it. Because downhill, more momentum, we're not trying to be as aggressive. We're just trying to sort of coast it in. I might hit it just a dab more, maybe 6.5 or something, particularly if there was a little bit of headwind or something. So then we get on to the, let's go into 13 green. Now here, for the 20-foot -2 putt, it's telling us to go 15.9. Trust it. Do your variables of drop-offs after the hole. Is it 30-mile-an-hour tailwind? Do those variables like in the previous video, but as a base, I'd be using that to start with. If there's a drop-off afterwards, I'd reduce it to 15 foot. If it's howling downwind, I'd probably do the same thing, take a foot off it. If it's 30 downwind, I might even take 1.5 off. I had a putt last night, a really important putt at Oakmont from the back of the green on the 18th, and I had 15 feet, 6 downhill. So I'm going to put it in, see if I can remember what it was. Sorry. It was more like, it was around about that. So that would be my base number, but I know there's a drop off on that 18th at Oakmont with the back right pin. In fact, it's so severely downhill afterwards, you can roll it 10 foot past without even blinking. I was on for shooting a 56, 57, which was going to get me into top spots. I had a heavy braking putt. I was aiming about 6 foot right of the hole, and I just knew this number was wrong. It was going to go too far if it didn't hit the hole. So I was looking at the ridge and where the downhill really started, and all I was trying to do was get it over this ridge, and I felt like gravity would do the rest. So I actually hit this putt 6.4. I would always trust this file on a downhill putt, but once you've done your variables, you've got to trust it. So I went to 6.4, started it way outside right. It just crawled over the little ridge above the hole, and then it just gently rolled down, and the last turn it managed to go in the middle of the hole. If I'd hit that 7.6, it would have missed right, and I'm pretty sure it would have gone 6-7 feet past. So just something to be aware of. Going to a shorter putt, so a 9-foot putt on one uphill. So now we've got a 9-foot putt and it's uphill, even though it's on quick greens. For me, you still need to, up that under 10 feet mark, you need to be making an adjustment. So if I want to be aggressive with that, it's uphill, so I'm not particularly scared of the putt back down because it will slow up after the hole pretty much. I'll want to hit that firmer than 7. 7 will probably just about reach the hole again. I will be hitting that 8.4, 8.3 to 8.5, something like that. And if it goes a foot past, then, you know, so be it. It's still a tap in. If we go to a short one downhill, I trust it. 4.8, 9 feet, -2. Happy days, get your read right, and I'd be going for that. So just to sum up of that is to box it off. Let's talk slower greens 7 to 9. Need to be a bit careful. Need to hit it harder generally, and it's not quite as accurate. But we don't play on those greens as often generally as you progress through the game. And then the other box is the quicker greens where it works much better. If it's downhill, I'd pretty much trust it. If it's flat or uphill from under 10 feet, I'd add some to be aggressive. But if it's over sort of 12, 15, 20 feet, the uphill and flat putts are pretty accurate. Again, I'd always, because it's uphill, add a foot, maybe 1.5 feet, just to be... I just always want the ball to get to the hole. There's nothing worse than it stopping short. And once you've got this down, you're less scared about the putts going back as well. So then one last subject is my dreaded nemesis, and I think a lot of people struggle with this, is this putt here. So it's a quick green, you've hit a beautiful shot in from, I don't know, 220, and you're left with this 5-foot -2 putt that maybe breaks 3 cups. And you expect to hold it because you've hit such a good shot in, but it can be a tough putt. So what I'm going to say here is, and this is just my advice for someone who's sort of getting over it slowly, is I'd be looking at this as my base, as 2.1. But if you're hitting something so gentle at 2.1 and it's a breaking putt, the ball is going to go sideways on you. Yes, this takes it into account. On the break, or if you're doing it by feel, you have to sort of judge it 3 cups. But there's so little momentum to it that it can just do funny things. You can aim 6 feet right of the hole, hit it 1.5 feet, and it barely even start offline because you're just tapping it so gently. So what I'll tend to do here for these under 5 feet, I'm generally bashing in, doesn't matter if it's downhill or not. 5 to 6 feet are the sort of ones that get to me. But I'm getting better at them. And what I tend to do is, I'll look at this and go, I don't want to hit it that soft, even though I know that that's telling me it's getting it to the hole. I want to have a go at holding this putt and giving it the best chance. So what I'll probably do is I can't change that, is just say I'm going to hit it 3.5 feet. Then what I do is I go back to the putt and I'll be judging the line that I was thinking about for 2.1, thinking, right, I'm hitting this harder, so I need to aim less break, and then really make a committed line on a 3.5 foot putt that I know if I miss the hole completely, it's going 4 foot by, and if it hits the hole, probably 2 foot by, but it gives me the best chance of getting it into the hole for the birdie or save or eagle. So the sheet is right for these putts, but there is a variable where you just want to say, it's that short, I want to be a bit more aggressive and hit this harder. So that's basically it. Again, anybody who wants to have this, DM us, myself or Vipin Sharma. Massive thanks to him again for doing this. I hope this makes some kind of sense. It's a complex subject in its whole: pace putting, break putting, formulas, then this sheet, then the formula sheet. And what we've tried to do is just bit by bit: pace, break, formulas, input sheet. We've tried to sort of tell a story and get to a point where we're at the most simplistic ending. So I hope that helps a few people. If you've got any questions, post away or contact us, and I hope that helps. Lion and I thank you all for your support, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.